How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's TAG97 again. I hope all you're doing amazing as usual. So today I'm going over one of my own personal firearms that I recently have purchased. I'm going over the Sig Sauer P365 SAS 9mm. And if you're new to the YouTube channel, welcome. Everything you'll basically need to know will be in this video. And if there's any questions I did not answer, just go ahead and ask me down in the comment section, and there's some things in the description such as my social media links, as in Patreon and Instagram. I really ask that you go ahead and support my Instagram since I've been losing a lot of followers for some reason. Just go ahead and do me a solid and smash that follow button to keep up with anything up to date with the YouTube channel. I want to thank my viewers, subscribers, and Patreon donors. Without you guys' love, support to this YouTube channel, it'll never be big as it is today. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started off with a quick disclaimer that this firearm is pointing in a safe direction at all times while recording, and the firearm is clear for safe matter. A good food for thought though is every firearm is loaded at all times. It's a very good rule to remember, and it definitely saves lives for sure. So the model that we're going over today is not the ported version. The reason why Sig discontinued that model is due to high customer complaints saying they didn't like it. I'm not going to get in detail with it because we do not have this firearm at this time, nor am I probably going to review it at all. However, you could still buy it on the Sig website as an accessory if you choose to run it like that. So let's get to the basic specifications with this firearm. So what does SAS stand for? It is Sig Anti-Snag. And let's talk about that case real quick. So the case that you get with this firearm is very nice. A good starter pack, basically every essential you will need with a firearm purchase. So let's talk about the length of this handgun real quick. So it is a micro compact. It's very small, but still somewhat long, but not really. So the overall length of this firearm is 5.8 inches, and that barrel length is going to be leaving you at 3.1 inches. Now, it's not really the size that gets people talking, let's be honest. It's the sight design. The sights are built into the slide, so it's basically flush with the top part of the slide. It is the FT bullseye design, which is roughly, the outer ring is about 40 MOA. So it's very small, compact. The sight systems take a little bit getting used to. I'll get a little bit later in the video explaining in detail how I feel about it. But they are fiber optic and tritium, so you can run it both day and night. Okay, so let's talk about the magazines that come with this firearm, the ammunition we use in today's video, and the best recommended grain to be using with most standard 9mm handguns recommended by me. So you get one 10-round extended grip magazine, and you also get a 10-round magazine flushed. However you choose to conceal carry it or use it is up to you. And of course, you can always change the base plate if you want to have them both extended. That is totally up to the shooter. Now let's talk about the ammunition we used in today's video, which was Federal 115 grain full metal jackets. I always recommend Federal. I've been using them for many years, and the same thing with Winchester, which we also used in today's video, 124 grain full metal jackets. Now, I wasn't able to get a lot of ammunition due to the pandemic, a lot of new gun owners in Texas, and just living in the state of Texas that most people who live here are gun owners. So it's very hard to get my hands on 9mm right now. So just bear with me. And let's talk about the best recommendation from me to you. So for target practice, I always recommend 115 grain to 124 grain. And for self-defense, I recommend hollow points 124 grain through 147 grain, or whatever else you can find. There's no right or wrong answer, but I always recommend hollow points and heavier grains for self-defense, full metal jackets for target practice. Okay, so let's talk about the trigger that is installed into this firearm. However, you can always upgrade your triggers on most firearms out there. And I heard some people don't like the curved trigger, they like the flat trigger that Sig makes. You can always change it out if you choose to, that is up to you. However, the trigger that is installed into this firearm that I personally have, I already did you a favor doing the testing with it. I got roughly between 5.5 and 6 pounds while doing it. It is a very nice reset, very crisp, very snappy. And some people are concerned because it doesn't have like a Glock safety trigger or manual safety at all on this firearm, and they have some issues with it saying, will it accidentally go off? Personally, with my experience, it's fine. I sleep next to it on my bed, and I don't feel like it's going to be pulled anytime soon, and I hope it doesn't, but I trust it. I think you'll be fine. Now, I was able to pop shots with it very easily. Didn't have any hiccups or anything with the trigger. It seemed to be just fine. So if you want to upgrade it or install a flat trigger, that is up to you as the shooter. Okay, so let's wrap up these specifications with the weight of this firearm and the MSRP that it runs for online and at dealers. So on the SIG website, it says that this weight of this firearm is 17.8 ounces. However, when I weighed it, I took out a magazine to see how much it would weigh, and I got roughly 15.6 ounces on my own scale. Now, what is the MSRP? It's kind of hard to say because a lot of places are price gouging. However, I did buy mine at Academy Sports and Outdoors for roughly like $630 after tax. So literally, I paid that amount and walked out the door with it. So I wouldn't spend anything more than $700. I have seen it on websites going for more, which I think is kind of, disgusting if you ask me, for the gun community to be taking advantage of people that don't know any better. However, putting a price on my life is never cheap, and I would pay that much if I had no other option. It's a very well-made firearm, and I'm going to get into that later. Okay, so since I am done talking about the specifications with the Sig Sauer P365 SAS, let's tap into how I personally feel about it, negative and positive. Anytime I do a negative review and positive review of a firearm, they're my own opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. It's not that I'm trying to bash the company, make them look bad, or suck up to them in any way. It's just my own personal feelings, and I always try to stay honest and bias free much as possible. That's why a lot of you like watching my YouTube channel. So let's tap into negativity I want to get out of the way. So one of the things I noticed is the magazines that come with this firearm. Yes, they're good. I love them. They're very compact. But the spring tension on these is absolutely insane. They fight back very hard, and they are just very stubborn like I am. So it was kind of annoying. I wish it was a little bit, less tension. However, you can always get a speed loader, and it should just work just fine. I don't use speed loaders, so it is what it is. However, I do have my own method that I use to weaken the spring very quickly as in aging it. But the best recommendation is just using a speed loader and just breaking it normally, because my method may void out the warranty, so shh, don't tell Sig. Now, when it comes to target transitioning, I found out it's very hard for me because I normally, when I aim, I use the front sight post to guide me on to different targets when transitioning from a low ready or just drawing. And because obviously the sights are flush with the side, that it took me a minute getting used to, and I was kind of not very confident in myself while shooting it, and I was kind of discouraged. So I looked on YouTube, which is very rare that I actually do. I looked up some bigger YouTubers up in the million subscribers and stuff to see what they said, and they all had the same issue, that it takes a minute getting used to this sight system. It's not that it's impossible to adapt to it, you just have to put rounds through it to get used to it, and that's something that you'll see later in the video and I'll talk about. So personally, it's just going to take time to get used to. However, that's about it with the negativity, so let's get into that positive. Okay, so talking good on behalf of this SIG, let's get into that positivity like I said. So very, very compact. It's a micro compact handgun. I can definitely see why it's called that. This is definitely the perfect concealed carry handgun, and to me, out of all the purchases I made, this is hands down the best one. Now, I did purchase the regular P365 to compare it, to show you guys that they were pretty similar. Obviously, the takedown and the slide release is flush with the SAS model, and obviously the sights, of course. But in comparison, I fell in love with this model over the regular one, so I'm probably going to get rid of the other one, or I may keep it. I don't know yet. However, I just love how slim, compact this firearm feels and works. It's accurate, gets the job done, and for real world use, like Sig said, because I did call and ask them some questions that weren't on a website or FAQ, and they said you shouldn't be engaging anyone further than 25 meters, which is most recommendation for a handgun anyway. So I wouldn't push a handgun further than 25. Not saying it's impossible, But for most engagements, it's just to get away or just to take care of that one threat right there and then. And hopefully you never have to. So for the ideal concealed carry, this is hands down my personal favorite that I've owned, and I have owned many different firearms, and the capacity of just how small that magazine just blows me away. And I talked to a couple other of my friends that have this Sig series, and they said that the other P365 magazines will work with it. Now, if you want an extension, go ahead, but I personally wanted it for concealed carry, and it gets the job done. So I am 100% satisfied. I'm extremely happy with this purchase, and I don't regret it whatsoever. I recommend, if you're going to look into this firearm, that you watch some other YouTubers, probably see what their opinions are, write, cons and pros of this firearm, and go to your local gun store to check it out for yourself to see if you like it. But however, for me, I fell in love with this handgun. All right, so the moment you've been waiting for, the shooting compilation. Now, before you watch it, I need to say something real quick. Now, like I said, a lot of YouTubers agreed, saying that it takes a minute getting used to these sights, which it did. There is no editing or cut scenes or anything. I'm showing you the true performance. So I know some of you are used to me not ever missing, which is, I'm human. We're all human. So you can make errors. That's fine. However, it just takes a minute to get used to this. Now, most of the engagements that I was doing was purposely on the smallest target, about roughly all the size of my hand spread out. So I was engaging the smallest ones as possible, much as I could, at 16 yards. And yes, I did have a rangefinder to laser it to make sure that it was actually accurate lasing and getting a good distance. So 16 yards, engaging the smallest targets, most of them. I did engage bigger silhouettes, but purposely pushing the capabilities as me as a shooter with this firearm and the capabilities of this handgun. So give or take when you watch it, just understand that this firearm does take time getting used to. I only had about roughly 100 rounds of practice with it, but as you can see, even someone as experienced as me had a little struggling issue with it. So you will need some range time with this firearm. So if you made it this far, I always recommend you go back to learn specifications if you're interested in purchasing this. If you just watch me for entertainment, go ahead and do me the solid and hit that subscribe and like button. It always means so much to me. So without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the shooting compilation. I'll see you when you're done. So as you see, the Sig Sauer P365 SAS is definitely an awesome micro compact handgun, perfect for concealed carry. Like I said, guys, I did try to push this firearm to its maximum capacity that I can roughly handle. I did shoot back at the barrier on attack bay, and I obviously hit it. I only took 2 shots at it. The first one hit, the second follow-up shot, I probably missed it slightly by a couple inches, but every inch counts, right, guys? So overall, I'm extremely satisfied. I'm very happy with this purchase. However, before I show you the groupings like I normally do, I am doing a new thing where I show you what it looks like through distances. So at 7 yards, this is what it looks like while aiming. And the same thing at 25 yards. It's a little bit harder, smaller target. The reason why I'm showing you guys is because a lot of the people that watch this that leave negative comments saying it's easy to make bullseyes, which it kind of is. It's not wrong. But you guys need to understand the environment that I'm in while shooting, and so you can actually see what I see when I actually shoot, so you get a perception on how small these targets are when I shoot at them, because looking at a camera and on a screen are 2 different perceptions of depth perception. So here's the groupings. I used the dime as a reference to show you the bullseye that I was aiming at. Obviously 7 yards is tight, and the 25 yards is somewhat about like a 2.5 to 3 inch grouping. Now, if I had more time behind this firearm, I'd probably tighten it up a little bit. Now, if you're wondering why is it to the right or the sight's off, is either 2 things. One, I put too much finger on the trigger while shooting it, or my sight was not perfectly lined up as it should be, because when I was aiming, I was constantly doing this to see where my sight was, because I can't see through my slide, obviously. But it got the job done. Very accurate, reliable, and I'm very satisfied with this Sig. So if you did enjoy watching this video, go ahead and do me a solid and hit that subscribe button and like button. Sig Sauer, if you did keep your word and you did watch my review, let me know what you think. And if you can send me any firearms review, I'd be more than happy to, for sure. Other than that, guys, I got nothing more to say. I love y'all. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'll catch you next time, and enjoy the rest of your night or day.